Hi, and welcome to this incredible interview on the power of sex, the feminine energy, and moon cycles. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Diane Pascos, emotional freedom coach, EFT practitioner, mindfulness and meditation trainer, and energy worker. And today I have with me Viktoria. Welcome, Viktoria.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm excited to have you and excited for this topic. So before we begin, I do want to read you Viktoria's bio. I didn't want to memorize it in case I missed anything because this is just incredible. So excuse me for reading it from my paper. Viktoria is a holistic intimacy, communication, and relationship specialist of 15 plus years. She is an avant-garde provocateur and change agent, dedicated to creating safe and nurturing environments to somatically release negative emotions, trauma, anxiety, and tension. A transformational counselor, life coach, Reiki practitioner, and Hatha, Laya, and trauma-sensitive yoga instructor. Teacher of Tantra, compassionate communication, and holistic Qigong massage, and Bondage and Elysium massage trainer. Something new I learned today. Viktoria expertly supports and empowers men, women, and couples to authentically live fully, love deeply, laugh often, and get the vibrant, healthy intimacy they desire through private coaching, programs, and workshops. She helps people reconnect with confidence, presence, and passion with themselves first, and then with their loved ones, all done through playful, loving, transformational learning dynamics, self-empowerment practices, healthy boundary setting, compassionate communication, confidence building with practical guidelines for success, and much more. So before we even begin on this topic, because there's so much here, can you give our audience a better understanding of what would they come to you for?
So a great example for people who reach out to me and say, hey, I want to participate in a program or private coaching is I have a block in my intimacy and my connection. So the most important thing that on this planet Earth that we want more than ever is connection, which equals love. And love comes in many formats. So if I'm blocked through trauma, I'm blocked through my lack of communication skills, I'm blocked through being triggered, I'm blocked through the fact that had repeated bad negative energy from different partners in the past, and now I'm imprinting that forward on somebody else. I am having trouble finding somebody because I don't know what's off, and I need somebody to help me clarify and get clear on what I need in my life.
That's awesome. I know I came to you for the Tantric Women's program, which was incredible. I learned so much more than I ever thought I would learn. And it's something that I've even shared some parts. My daughter's 13 years old, some parts with my daughter, and I plan on sharing the rest with her as she gets older. But it's information that everyone should know, even from a young age. It's actually just incredible. So on to our topic, the power of sex, the feminine energy, and moon cycles. Please share.
All right, so let's dive into the moon cycle, which is the integral foundational component of understanding how our body works with the moon and its energy. We work on the planet as a natural being, and we've basically walked away from that. And so what I'm doing now is bringing more light and guidance back to the understanding of how the moon cycle affects us. So for example, women go through a 4-week cycle. Some women go through a 21-day cycle, and some women go through a 28-day cycle, and something in between. So what does that mean? That means that we have 2 highlight points during the 4 weeks. So the first highlight point will be known as the new moon, which is the dark moon. So think dark red, like my shirt, and think blood, and we're releasing that. When we're releasing blood, we also want to release any emotions that are hanging out in our body that we've held back because we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We were worried about somebody feeling rejected. We didn't feel it was the right and appropriate time to say it. So we held it inside, and we created a compoundment of those emotions. So sometimes people usually say during a period, women are a bitch, and that's the going and saying. And the reason why that happens is because women do not honor their emotional release. in the way that they need to, which means if you want to remove or release anything that's been hanging out in your body, in your heart, I highly recommend that you put on a chick flick and cry. Go to a girlfriend and talk it out. Dance, movement, do artwork, journal, whatever it is that rocks your boat with regards to releasing or letting go of that energy. That's what I need you to honor, and to let people around you know that this is a time that you need. That time frame may be 5 to 7 days. For each person, it's different, and to be able to notice that. Then we travel into week 2. Week 2 is our transition from leaving the new moon, and now we're moving towards the full moon. So think full moon, beautiful, big, bold, bright, and it's an egg, hence ovulation. So the body now is going to release an egg for fertilization, which means that we as women are much more clear and assertive in how we want to engage with our intimacy. We want to know exactly who is going to be in our space, and we are going to be clear about how that's going to take place, because our body is biologically built and structured to seek out a primate to mate and create a baby. So we're much more intense, we're much more playful, we're much more interactive, we love different types of intensity, we enjoy being much more playful and loud and goofy, and so that becomes a reality. Now, the next week after that, we start transitioning back towards our moon cycle of the dark moon, or the new moon as we call it, where we're starting to a shift in energy. So the high points during your cycle are the new moon and the full moon.
It's awesome. And after learning about what I needed during my, pre-menstruation, and then my, during the menstrual cycle, by having a better understanding of what I needed, I was able to handle that time in a totally different way. Instead of, having my moments, it's like, oh, I need nurturing right now. So, communicating that. And if I was alone and I needed it, finding ways to do that with myself. Like for me, it was lying down, having a grounding mat, and, the blanket over me, watching a movie. And by giving me a totally different perspective on what it was that I needed, I handled it in a totally different way and was able to fly by that time in a much more peaceful way. Like it was absolutely incredible. And then how does the feminine energy come in, and explain to us a little bit more about the feminine energy?
So your feminine energy in Tantra, we refer to it as creative life force energy, which means it moves, it grooves, it creates, it flows, it ebbs, surrenders to what is, and allows you to become more soft, more sensual, and more connected to yourself, which means I'm going to be traveling through my 5 senses. So what I notice with my eyes, what I hear with my ears, what I smell with my nose, what I touch with my hands and my body, what comes into contact with me in my everyday life, not just my intimacy, because that translates directly into your intimacy. So we're not separating intimacy completely and fully. We are looking at it as a holistic part of who you are.
And nowadays, a lot of the times, the feminine energy, or being in the feminine, kind of gets pushed aside. Where, like, I know with me, I was getting too much into the masculine. How does that affect us?
So when you go into your masculine, which is not your natural default, and everybody has a different default. So I'm going to make sure we're clear, because I'm all inclusive. Just because I'm a female form body doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a feminine. It might mean that I travel and work within my masculine polarity. So now we're going to backtrack. What is feminine polarity versus masculine polarity? So feminine polarity allows for the surrender and for creation to happen and flow. And masculine is a more directive, action-oriented, solution-oriented movement forward. So allowing myself to be in that polarity all the time will affect me in a negative way. If my natural state is feminine, I will start basically putting her under the carpet or putting her in the closet. And then I'm going to be creating an or I should say imbalance with my masculine energy, which depletes who I am and how I connect to my feminine energy. So it doesn't allow me to be more creative. It will make me tired. It will make me frustrated. It will make me feel like there's never support there for me and I'm always doing everything on my own. I will have resentment. I will start feeling anger. I'll start feeling sadness and depression. So all these things are affecting us because we're not honoring how our natural state of being is.
So will be more naturally in the feminine, some will be more naturally in the masculine, and it's knowing which one you gravitate more naturally, or which one, how does that, how do you know which one, like how?
So let's take ourselves an example. So you have a feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you, for many years, since you've been taking care of business, as we say, as a single parent, that means that you're always on a constant go, go, go. You're always directing, making sure things are taken care of, watching for all the loose ends to be tied up, making sure that there's a solution for every different situation, doing collateral damage control all the time. But you've never taken the time to rest. You've never taken the time to allow your body to open and flow. So what happens is it affects you in all the different areas of your life. So you become much more rigid. You become much more assertive. You become much more utilitarian. When we talked about your clothing, remember we talked about clothing?
Yes.
That we start like putting our hair back so we can actually roll up our sleeves and get in there and do the job, instead of staying in my feminine energy and still be able to do the job, allowing that creative life force energy to help me move through this process, as opposed to, oh yeah, I'm going to wear my track pants and I'm going to pull my hair back and I'm just going to get in there and do my job, instead of going, hey, today I want to connect to my feminine energy. So let my hair down, or do it a different way, or put on a little bit of makeup, or put on some jewelry that makes me feel comfortable and expresses my sensuality. So connecting to that part of yourself makes you feel like you're more alive, as opposed to deadening or dampening your energy.
Yeah, and for me, that's track pants, tights, hair in a ponytail, no makeup. Because in my head, it's like, there's no time for that shit right now. Like, it was just like, I got a lot of shit I gotta get done. There's no time. But after taking the program with you, I didn't see it as a chore. I saw it as fun. Like, it became now fun. I mean, yes, I still have my days of hair in a ponytail and all of that, but now they're more selective, right? Like having fun more, even buying certain clothes. I buy more functioning clothes because it's like, oh, I don't know if I should be spending on this, and is this practical, and this and that. And I even started going into my closet and I realized how many clothes I actually had. I didn't even realize because I kept wearing the same functional kind of clothes over and over again. So now I don't see it as a chore or a to-do list. I actually see it as fun, that creative side coming out from, out of me. It's like, okay, what can I try today? What can I put it, together today? Or I'll go online and, because I like kind of like the colorful hippie kind of look. And it's like, okay, what can I treat myself to today? And it doesn't even have to be expensive. You don't have to go, to high-end stores. If you do, by all means, have fun. But it doesn't even have to be that. It could be anything. So that's what I really did notice about that. And it made, I had like a lighter feel to me as well. Like I can feel my energy felt lighter, kind of like lighter on my feet in some ways. Found myself even as I'm walking from one end of my place to the other, kind of like bopping around a little bit. And, because we were doing some movements with the hips. So sometimes I'll be walking, I'm like, I'm just going to move my hips as I'm walking right now, just to kind of get some flow going. So it's also incredible, everything that you taught, how I can incorporate it into my everyday life rather than adding more to my plate. It's so easy to incorporate into things I'm already doing, but just adding a different twist, adding a different piece to it. So that's one thing that I did love, is that it's so easy to incorporate.
Yes. So when I'm connecting with anybody who's working with me, I want to make sure that it applies to your everyday life, because you're seeking a more fulfilling life. You want to live fuller. You want to love deeper. You want to be able to laugh more often, as we say, and you want to do it authentically. You want to express yourself. You want to be able to connect to that part of yourself that you've been putting in the back closet or in the back burner because you're taking care of everything else. bring yourself forward. So when your cup is full, that means that everybody else around you benefits.
Yes, it's true, because I find I can connect with others differently as well now. It's, I'm kind of, I'm there, I'm aware, I've got my boundaries, better boundaries now. And, but at the same time, connect with them even better as well, to actually, see them, as you say, with intimacy, which I love, as well. And so, one question though, before we get to the power of sex, one thing I want to know is what inspired you to do this?
So my personal journey involves the fact that I was in my feminine energy, and then that was taken away from me in a negative context through different relationships that I have endured. So those relationships, instead of curling up into a little tight ball and a fetus and going into a deep depressive melancholia, I decided to meet it at a different place and say, if I'm one of those people that has experienced these bad experiences, then there must be other people that have experienced it as well. So I prefer to be an advocate and a proactive agent to people who need to understand how things flow for them, to have better resiliency and to be able to connect more authentically to themselves. So my path brought me to this place because I thought, okay, life can't be this shitty. And these people who affected me during my childhood and my teenage life, they do not have power over me. So I decided that I want to help people through this channel, through this pathway. And intimacy for me, as you pointed out, and just a reminder, means intimacy first. And then I include my loved ones, and then my colleagues and family and friends on the outside, and then strangers, you know, at a coffee shop, etc.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I love how you turned something into something so powerful instead. So now, big question, the power of sex. What can you share about that?
So the power of sex means that you need to know yourself really well. And so when working with me, we travel through that lovely little reacquainting time of how you rock and roll. And I usually use the love languages as my leverage point. So if we find out that, you're an acts of service person, for example, and you're a words of affirmation person, and you're also a quality time person, then I'll say, okay, so you enjoy like focused, really bubble time with yourself when you're doing your solo pleasure practice, or with somebody you choose to share time and space with. And if you enjoy words of affirmation, that means that you like dirty talk, that you enjoy certain types of dirty talk. So some people like the romantic Harlequin style, and other people like really raw, raunchy stuff, or something in between. So you start looking at it and going, oh, so I can actually implement these things, and I can actually like speak pillow talk or read erotica. And if I'm an acts of service person, that means that I really enjoy taking my solo pleasure time to wherever I needed to go and to tap into that energy and life force and say, I want to be able to move or manifest things. I want to be able to connect to myself in such a deep way that allows me to be part of the universal fabric.
And so when practicing these different ways and looking at the five languages and how, we prefer to be intimate, once we start that, what can develop in our lives? What is it that, like, I know for me, it was more self-love, like really connecting with my body. I actually looked in the mirror and I actually loved my body. I was just like, I don't think I've ever felt this way before. Like, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I look good, whatever. But it was just like, wow, I actually loved it.
So you come to a place where when you do your solo pleasure practice and you're connecting to your body and you're amplifying your energy and you're breathing and moving and really connecting to that self-love during your solo pleasure practice, that really amplifies and pushes away all the darkness of shame and the darkness of past traumas. So what we're doing is we're going through sexual energy and play, and that power allows us to push away or release anything that has kept us in the past locked into a prison of our own making.
Yeah, and also what I really got is how much conditioning we have around self-love and sex. how they're both shameful. We're not supposed to love ourselves. We're only supposed to give love, and sex. I learned that it's something totally different than what I've known my entire life. A whole other ball game. And even the simple things like giving myself a bubble bath and just, kissing my knees and telling my knees that I love you. Like the most simplest things like that. Like it doesn't even have to be anything extreme. It's just this most simplest things did so much for me, I found.
Yes, particularly when you're doing your connection to yourself in an intimate way. So the power of sex and sexuality is an innate natural thing for us as human beings. We have been suppressed, repressed, told good girls don't do that. Boys can go and do whatever they want. So this double standard, this double-edged sword doesn't meet the 21st century anymore. And this is the first time in history where we do not have to like look for a partner to house us and put a roof over our head, food on the table to protect us, because we can have our own job, we can create our own money and our own independence. Therefore, I need to connect to my own body. I have that right, that birthright, that ecstatic connection is required for me to understand the depths of the power of my sexuality, that it transcends and ripples through every aspect of my life. It's not just for the bedroom and only for one person. It's for me and for everybody that I touch and come into contact with.
It's incredible because it does even if it's not sexual, it's the intimacy connecting with another human being in general. Definitely intimacy is not what I learned just sex. It's connecting with another human being. And the other piece that I loved is the energy behind everything, where
Mhm.
how powerful the energy is, not only with ourselves, but with the connection of the other human being, where all the conditioning from the past, it disempowered both men and women, where it just took away actually the incredible power behind it. With everything that's, shown on TV, and, women are taught this and men are taught that. And it just separates men and women
Oh,
instead
completely.
of bringing them together to create the most incredible, powerful energy.
Yes. So all the stereotypes, the archetypes that we have been inundated and imprinted do not apply in the 21st century. Everybody's got to step up. Everybody's got to take accountability for their sexuality, their power. They have to really meet it head on and embrace it. And if they're fearful of embracing it, I highly encourage and invite that it be done in baby steps.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't know. Can't think of anything right now. I mean, we've covered
Yeah,
quite a big range.
I think we did. And you're also going to include a freebie. I
Yes.
don't have a, can you explain that one a little bit?
Yeah. So the freebie that I'm including that we talked about is to track your cycle. And I've included it in such a way that it's a PDF file where you can put in all the dates for the month and then identify where the new moon is by coloring it in red or pink, and then identifying the full moon and coloring that in yellow. And then going to the internal compass, which we didn't touch on, which we need to touch on right now. The internal compass is an understanding of where you're at any given time. So there are 4 areas of your internal compass. One is your physicality, so your body. Number 2 is your mind and mental state. Number 3 is your emotional well-being. And number 4 is where your energy levels are at. And we gauge that between 1 and 10. And 10 for me is balance. I'm centered, I'm at ease with everything in the world and myself, and I can have that resiliency that whatever pops up, whatever stressors may come my way, I can handle it. Now, when I am not able to handle it, that's because one of the points in my compass is off. So for example, if we're approaching our new moon cycle, which is our blood menstrual cycle, then my numbers may be low. So emotionally, I may be sensitive and my number may be a 6. And then my body may be feeling a little achy. So that number may be a 7. And if my energy levels are low because of those things, because it's a ripple effect, then I ask myself, what can I do right now to shift the numbers that I just identified and move them towards a 10 allows me the power to change my trajectory of what's going on in the moment instead of tolerating it and saying, oh, it's okay, I'll take care of it later. I'm going to get up off my ass and do something about it. Because
Mm.
once again, I'm putting the power back to you. So in your little PDF that I'm giving you is tracking your numbers so you can see from day to day what's going on as you approach your menstrual cycle, as you approach your ovulation cycle, to see if there's changes and how it affects you. Because if we do not observe the patterns of change, then we dismiss them. We are in denial of them. We label them as something else and not a good thing. So we want to embrace and celebrate them.
Yeah, and it's great to have it, on a sheet because we kind of just get lost in our day to day. So by having, everything written down, it's kind of like it's already there. So we're aware, kind of like a easy check-in
Yes.
to see what's going on. And for those that are interested, there's a link below so you can download the PDF. And I have one more question. So a lot of this, we're talking about the feminine, the females. What are the benefits of men knowing about this and what the woman is going through? How does that help a relationship?
So gentlemen also have a cycle.
Hmm.
The cycle is usually 40 days and it's seasonal. And we do not have a lot of statistics on that because it's not a moneymaker like the female cycle is with all the hygiene products.
Ah,
So it's going to take a little bit more digging and research for you to like Google some more information on the men's cycle. So how does this affect the men's awareness of the female cycle? They'll know how to approach their partner, or their partner will be able to let them know what's going on. And since I know how it works, I can engage and meet my partner. So if I say, oh, I'm approaching my menstrual cycle, which is our new moon, then I'm going to say, I need more cuddle time. I need more nurturing time. I need more emotional healing. So I want to just be in that space, and I want those kind of activities to take place between us. Then as we approach our ovulation, then I'm much more open to being adventurous, to trying new things, to turning up the intensity of our sexuality, and to be more playful in that arena. So my partner will know that, and then we can plan for it and make it something special. And please don't take away from the fact that I said plan, because when I plan for something, there's plenty of room for spontaneity in the planning.
got it. So the key is women being in communication with your own needs. So getting to know your own needs and then communicating them
Yes.
so they could understand it. Because I know, women complicated, we're told, rocket, it's like trying to rocket science. So trying to simplify it for them. But it all starts with also understanding ourselves, because a lot of times we can't explain something if we don't even understand ourselves. So this gives us a better understanding of ourselves to then communicate.
Yes. And then my partner, whoever that may be, whether it's male or female, can actually say, hey, I can meet you. I can hold space for you. I could be playful and adventurous with you. I can, be able to rock and roll with what's going on. And then we can respect each other and trust each other to go deeper with our connection.
That's awesome. That is so amazing. Thank you so much, Viktoria. I loved the program. Thank you for coming on video with me to do this interview. You're awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And for those that are watching right now, I'll have all the links below, the PDF, all of Viktoria's links, where you could connect with her, where you can find her. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Viktoria, and have a wonderful day.